Hello and welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
We're here to talk about a new song that's 20 years old.
What?
Isn't that weird?
That it happens. Explain why.
Explain the rules.
Explain.
So, Linkin Park has a song out that's from the Meteora sessions. Meteora being a record that's now turning 20 years old.
Whoa.
And the fans are in luck because they have a fully realized, fully produced new song out from those sessions called Lost. And it's something that I don't think has ever been hinted at or released or played live or anything. Just a fully B-side lost cut track from that album. And that's exciting to hear. It's cool that the legacy can live on. And for context, Linkin Park isn't an artist we talk about on this channel. And this is maybe the first time you've intentionally listened to Linkin Park.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the singles were inescapable when this album came out, but yeah. I did not have their album. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and I had Meteora.
Yeah.
I only had Meteora. That was 2003. I was 13 years old. You've said before, kind of an anomaly.
It's an anomaly, I imagine, in your collection. I don't know all your CDs you had, but
yeah, I was big into Gorillaz self-titled back then, bit of Radiohead, bit of Smashing Pumpkins, and then Linkin Park. I was drawn to that record mostly because of the imagery and aesthetic. They had this thing where they were big into street art and graffiti, cool spray painting stuff. Anime influence in their music videos sometimes, and that whole and also the cool skate brands of the time had to have DC shoes and all that, the DC shoes hat.
Linkin Park had that, or you just had that?
No, they had that.
They had that?
They were all about the skate brands.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, the aesthetic drew me in, and I ended up getting the album without much context, and it production wise, I think it was kind of an influence on me. There's a lot of interesting production on that record, but let's not talk about it too much because I think what'll be good is maybe do a full video where you hear Meteora for the first time.
Yeah, for the 20-year anniversary. Yeah.
And I hear it for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, because you had it, but then you didn't go back to it.
Yeah, I didn't really carry on as a fan for whatever reason. I ended up getting more into the Radiohead thing and going in that direction. And so past Meteora, I wasn't really on board. And so it'll be fun to go back and revisit that record. So we'll do a video about that soon. But for now, let's talk about Lost. Okay, we're getting
a little off track.
We've gotten into an interesting discussion. Let's circle back to talking about the actual song, Lost.
Okay.
Now, what I wrote down is I'm wondering if anything in the song has been updated.
Yeah.
Is this really the finished track from back then? Because I think that the percussion, particularly in the beginning, is kind of modern sounding.
Okay.
So if it's not updated, they were ahead of their time, I guess.
So, but you're thinking they could have gone back in the studio and polished some things up. Yeah,
maybe. I mean, that happens with some of these releases where maybe it wasn't fully finished and they had to touch up a few things. It's kind of a blurred line, but I'm sure this is pretty much how the song was.
Yeah.
Which is cool because we get to hear some great vocals from Chester. My favorite part was when he gets into the second verse, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
And his voice kind of you can just sort of hear it giving out almost. It's a little literal, sure, but it really hits the emotion hard.
Yeah. Well, and clearly now having known truly what pain he was in, his death being a shock, but a theme in his lyrics was,
Yeah.
I guess, is I don't really know the discography,
This
but
is
like this is a theme
on par. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's like who was letting young men feel like like they weren't the only one who were depressed or suicidal. I mean, Evanescence and those kind of bands, sure they were, but like imagine feeling that way about feeling like you had to like a certain kind of music or else you wouldn't fit in, because especially when you're young, like teenage and middle school age, like there's so much pressure. It's like this was a band that like allowed you to listen to music that really validated those feelings.
It's a really good point. You're a kid, maybe you're depressed, you're feeling a certain way. Here comes this band where this singer is in this cool, hip, edgy band.
Yeah.
And he's laying it all out on the line.
Right.
Just bearing his heart in every song.
Yeah.
Because these lyrics, like I said, it's kind of par for the course with them.
Yeah.
They're often very general. They never really get into specifics. And in that way, it makes the pain they're singing about often very relatable. And
Right.
that probably has a lot to do with their success.
Yeah.
Okay. On vocal delivery, though, I want to talk about his incredible ability to scream in key.
Right.
Scream/yell, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Doing it in key, it almost sounds like there's like two tones coming out. It was
Yeah, I get what you mean by that. Yeah.
and the second I heard it in the chorus, I remembered sort of like, oh yeah, that's
a
right.
thing,
He
yeah.
had that sort of like ability to do that. Could
Yeah.
kind of sing anything.
Right. Yeah, I mentioned it before earlier in the video. He really has a voice that I feel like could have been any genre, honestly. I was very
Yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, it's almost like he happened to be in this band, but he could work in a million different bands.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just a beautiful quality to his voice that doesn't feel like other bands that people who like this band really liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I never lumped them in with the new metal thing.
Right.
I know everyone does, but like, are you really going to say that they're similar to Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, no. The singing is on a much different level.
And I think, I think just especially lyrically,
yeah.
and being so vulnerable and stuff, like I would maybe relate them to the Deftones in that way, but definitely not like Limp Bizkit or I mean, maybe Korn. I know there's some like vulnerable lyrics going on there, but I just never really, I kind of kept them separate in my mind from that whole scene.
Okay, we're treading on our future video again, but it's hard not to.
Yeah, it's hard not to discuss everything that was going on at the time with that genre, and just looking back now 20 years and thinking about all that. But, I think it's a perfect time for this album to have this new box set release coming out.
Right, reassessment, yeah.
Because now younger fans, new kids can find it, and without the baggage and the stigma attached, just say, hey, I love this, and now this is my new favorite band.
Yeah, I know. We did this Paramore video recently, and watched that interview where Hayley Williams was specifically talking about that, how like kids now have no idea what it was like back then to like certain kinds of bands and discover it now and just be like, this is cool and I can like this. And a lot of the things we've talked about lately have kind of been in that. And, you got My Chemical Romance, you've got Evanescence, all these bands, Avril Lavigne even, it's detached from a lot of stigma. And I wish we could fully move on from that. I still see a lot of discourse in music about things that you're allowed to like and not like. And come on, we're better than that, guys.
Yeah, we're living in an increasingly genreless world, but you're right, it is still a thing. So we're here to tell you anything you like, you can like whatever music you like. When I was 13, I thought this record was pretty cool. And I felt like maybe that wasn't something I was going to go around touting, but
Right.
you know, looking back, maybe I should have. There's some cool production on this record that we'll get into when the 20-year box set comes out. So if you'd like to see that, stick around, subscribe, and we'll dive into that record. You can see what Steph thinks about it, hearing it for the
Gonna
first
be
time.
Good times.
I'll tell you that this song is more related to, you know, that song Numb.
Yeah.
It's definitely more of that.
Yeah.
But Meteora does have a lot more like aggressive stuff on it as
Does
well.
it have a lot more of little comment? You know, this had it had to have it. Little comment in the background.
Yeah, I
Not
guess
singing.
we didn't touch on Mike Shinoda at all because he's not really in this song except for, echoing a line here or there. But I mean, on Meteora, he's kind of doing his rapping thing a lot. And that'll be interesting to get into too because as a lyricist, he's also kind of doing something that a rapper wasn't doing back then. So...
All right.
So we'll get into it soon. For now, this is kind of our thoughts on not only the song Lost, but kind of a broader subject as well. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Let us know what you think. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
See you next time.